News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Ryan Zinke says he never, ever, ever will sell or give away public lands. Good morning, everyone. Montana Morning for Tuesday, January 17th, 2017. It's another cold one. It's clear and 2 degrees below zero right now. Roads are mostly bare and dry. Some intermittent snowpack between Steve I south to Hamilton, and there is a Stage 2 air pollution warning continuing in effect for western Montana. Our newscast this morning sponsored by Dig It Excavating. They bring 30 years of excellence to every job. Call 214-4292. A change in U.S. House rules, making it easier to transfer millions of acres of federal public lands to states, is worrying hunters and outdoor enthusiasts across the West who fear losing access. Lawmakers earlier this month passed a rule eliminating a significant budget hurdle written so broadly that it actually includes national parks. President-elect Donald Trump's pick for Interior Secretary, Montana Congressman Ryan Zinke, voted for the rule change, as did many other Republicans. Attempts by some western state lawmakers in recent years to wrest control of federal public lands have failed, but U.S. lawmakers have the authority regarding such transfers. Outdoor recreationists fear states would sell the land to private entities that would end public access. Now, with that in mind, Congressman Zinke said he would never sell, give away, or transfer public lands, an important stance in the West where access to hunting and fishing is considered sacrosanct. But Zinke's commitment to public lands has come into question recently, likely to be a point of contention today as a Senate committee considers his nomination to be Interior Secretary under President-elect Trump. By the way, those hearings begin at noon our time. Zinke voted in favor of a rules package proposed by House Republicans that we just described. His spokeswoman said he remains opposed to sale or transfer of federal land. Still, he is likely to face tough questions on the issue and his support for increased energy development on federal lands. The last two Montana legislative sessions produced a lot of partisan bickering over infrastructure, but neither session ended with a comprehensive bill. This year, Webb Brown, president of the Montana Chamber of Commerce, is attempting to convince the legislature to work together on an infrastructure plan, and he's pushing two major options.
New options like public-private partnerships, they've been used in other states and even in Canada for amount to have private investment in public infrastructure and then have a repayment schedule back to the private investor out of that, basically just granting authority for that to be a tool to be used in the future.
A second option involves the coal tax trust fund.
Another option is looking at actually capping the coal tax trust fund, which a lot of that money goes towards infrastructure right now and would continue to at the $1 billion level. But anything above that, now that we've achieved that level, would be set aside. And our vision for that is actually to use the money now to bond for projects now.
Bills for both options are expected to circulate during the session, which is expected to be even more divisive than those in recent years due to a budget that's rapidly decreasing in size. According to the Montana DNRC, our state has more ice jams than almost any other in the continental U.S., a situation that can pose risks when warm weather arrives. State officials are advising those who live near rivers or creeks to have a flood evacuation plan just in case. While it's always good to be prepared, meteorologist Bob Nestor with the National Weather Service here in Missoula says major ice jam flooding is not expected this week in west central Montana.
With these ice jams, there's one down in Limhi County, and there's some ice jams along the Clark Fork too. But we'd really need some really big rain, like half an inch or an inch, or a big warm up with temperatures in the 40s and 50s to have any kind of immediate concern with breakup of ice jams and possible flooding. And we're really not anticipating that.
In fact, more ice, he says, may be on the way.
Our best potential for warmer temperatures here in Missoula is going to be on Thursday, anywhere from the low to mid-30s, perhaps even a little bit higher. At the same time, we're going to be anticipating a chance of a mix of rain and snow. And, of course, how cold we are here in the valleys. Any kind of rain that falls will turn into freezing rain at the surface.
The temperature swing coming up Thursday is expected to be dramatic. Could be around a 30-degree change in temperature from recent weather. The highs are expected to be in the upper 20s to low 30s in the Missoula area. Visits to U.S. national parks set a record in 2016 for the third consecutive year, as landmarks such as Zion, Yellowstone, and Rocky Mountain experienced historic levels of popularity that brought lots of collateral headaches stemming from overcrowded roads and trails and increasing visitor misbehavior. At many parks, visitors waited an hour or more in cars to get through entrance gates and then spent the entire day trying to look for a parking spot. They left behind enormous amounts of trash as well. Park officials say encountering a crowded Disneyland-type situation when people were expecting serenity can lead to aggression and bad decisions. Montana's 2 senators have both recently come forward to call for the repeal of the Real ID Act, and Attorney General Tim Fox explained why there's such vehement opposition.
The particular issues that Montanans had then and still have now with Real ID were first and foremost that the law requires that the state share private and personal information concerning our citizens here in Montana with the federal government. And as you know, the federal government has not had a good track record in keeping our private information private.
Fox said Montana's driver's licenses are some of the most secure in the country.
Montana's driver's license, I have to tell you, are secure. They're some of the most secure driver's licenses in the nation. But we still have an issue with sharing personal and private information with the federal government.
If you remember, last November, Homeland Security announced in a letter to Governor Steve Bullock rejecting his request to continue delaying the implementation of the Real ID Act, which was passed back in 2005. The letter stated that beginning in 2018, a Montana driver's license would no longer be acceptable identification for boarding a commercial aircraft. A safety reminder here for all pedestrians and cyclists who will be using the Madison Street Bridge. It was issued yesterday by Frontier West, the contractor in charge of the bridge rehabilitation project, to watch out for signage to use the lower level instead. Project manager Mike Murphy said the bridge is being narrowed to allow workers to replace the bridge decking.
They can't go across on top anymore. They got to use the underbridge underneath. The deck this week will start taking it off. Definitely do not try to go on the bridge where the deck is. There's no deck anymore. We got it all barricaded off and fenced off and warning signs and everything else, but you definitely don't want to go on top because you could fall through.
Murphy describes the next step in the renovation project.
Well, we'll do the northbound. That's what we'll take deck off first, and then we'll probably around mid-April, end of April, we'll start on the other southbound traffic lanes and hopefully be completed by end of August of this year.
Murphy said the Madison Street Bridge project was moved ahead on the state's construction calendar after some problems were discovered last year when the sidewalk began crumbling and falling off onto the trail below. Our News Talk time now, 6:12.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Increasing clouds today with our high temperatures in the upper teens and low 20s. There's a slight chance of a rain and snow mix as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. Wednesday, we'll see a wintry mix with our highs right around the freezing mark.